You're tuned into TobiTalks, Episode 9, From PreMed to Clinical Nurse Instructor. Now, if many of you don't know, let me let you know. There is a huge shortage of nurses, like across the U.S. And one of the main reasons why is because we don't have enough clinical instructors. Do you know that the American Association of Colleges of Nursing said in 2017 that nursing schools turned away more than 56,000 qualified applicants from undergraduate nursing programs? Going back even a decade, nursing schools have annually rejected around 30,000 applicants who met admission requirements. That is like mad crazy. I had no idea it was that bad. Like, I thought man, if I got into nursing school, then I was it. I made it. I did it. But I didn't know the backstory that we really don't even have enough clinical instructors teaching us. Did you even know that currently there are about 3 million nurses in the United States? And American Nursing Association estimates the country will need to produce more than 1 million new registered nurses by 2022 to fulfill its healthcare needs. That is crazy. I am super excited about today's guest, Ashley, who is a clinical nurse instructor. She is dishing out all the tea about what it's like to be a nurse instructor, how you can become a nurse instructor, and her journey to becoming a nurse instructor. And not only does she tell you the tea on that, she is definitely dropping the full transparency. I mean, we're talking about salary. And when I mean salary, I mean it's equivalent to a new pair of Louis Vuittons kind of salary. You know what I mean? But let's go ahead and jump into this conversation. And when you get into this conversation, we are literally laughing about the requirements of what it's like to be a nurse. So hop in. Can't wait. Let's go.
I'm going to tell you what nurses don't get is a snow day.
Oh, you were so right. Nurses don't get snow day. We don't get holiday snow day.
We don't get snow day.
We don't even get a disaster
Whenever
day.
They say, oh, nobody has to. Exactly. They say nobody has to resort except for exceptional personnel. I'm going to tell you who you are. You are that personnel that they're talking about. You got to be there.
You got to be there for snow days, holidays, disaster days, terrorist day.
Every day.
Anytime anything blow up, pop off.
Shooter days. Right.
Okay.
They say, I know it's a shooter, but you're supposed to be here at 7 o'clock. Make sure you're here at 6:45, okay?
I know Hurricane Ivy
came through, but okay.
I know the hurricane came through and it's flooded, but I need you to hop in that canoe and just bring yourself to work because we need to.
Right. Y'all supposed to have a canoe. We told y'all to have a canoe. Do y'all got one? Can you bring 3 of your fellow coworkers with you? That's
oh my God. People only know how real this is. It's so real.
Yes.
Bring your canoe.
It's so real.
So let's hop in this, girl. I want you to tell me the real reason, how and why did you choose this path called nursing? Give me the 411, girl.
Lord, can I tell you all everything? So let me tell you, I did not pick a traditional path to nursing. I picked the most untraditional path. I never wanted to be a nurse. That's what's so funny about this. I felt that being a nurse was genetic for me. My mother and older sister were both nurses. And my one thing that I ever said in this life was that I did not want to be a nurse because my older sister and my mother were both nurses. I said, no, I will do something different because I didn't want to fall into the same thing that they fell into. And I will say that if nursing has been the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's been wonderful. I was a PreMed major in college. I went to go to medical school. I said, I'm not going to be just a nurse. That's what I said. I was like, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a physician because I'm going to do what really matters. That's what I thought. And Then I quickly realized that being just a physician was not doing anything.
Look, be honest,
And
girl.
it was the nurses that actually, girl, I'll speak on it. Being a nurse was what actually was doing what I wanted to do, which was impacting patient care. So while I was a senior in college, I was shadowing a physician. And when I was shadowing them, I realized that I was watching what the nurses were doing the entire time. I wasn't watching what the physician was doing.
Wow.
The physician was sitting in their office typing things while the nurses were doing the things that actually made the difference in the patient's life. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I actually want to be a physician. I think I want to be a nurse. I was like, wow, now that I'm 4 years into this degree, I don't want to do it. So I have on Google. And I will tell you right now, Google isn't always your friend, but Google
a lot of times
I'm joking.
People think I'm joking when I said Google. Y'all need to hop on this Google and just be researching stuff.
Google is a great resource, okay? And I hopped on Google and I literally typed in, I will never forget, I said, how to become a nurse when you already have a degree. Because I had never heard of a second degree program. I had never heard of it, and I was like, what I'm not about to do right now is go back and be a sophomore again now that I'm a senior. I said, no.
The devil is a lie.
Different degrey. I was too far gone. And they were like, oh, there's a second degree program. And I said, excuse me, what is this? So I went and I Googled, and they said there are these second degree programs for people who already have nursing degrees that you can go on and in a shorter amount of time get your nursing degree and without having to go through the whole 4-year process. And I said, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
Wow.
So it's actually ridiculous, but I decided this during Christmas break between my last semester, my senior year of college. So you know how there's 2 semesters, fall and spring. Right after fall semester, I was at home with my family, and I was like, guys, I really don't want to do this pre-med thing anymore, but I feel like I have 1 semester left. I can't change my major now and decide I'm going to do something else because loans run out, grants run out. I was like, what?
And that's what people don't tell you. That financial aid office don't tell you those things.
Yes.
Now. You think you got unlimited access. Honey, no.
No, you don't. They have all their calculations based on you doing 4 years, 8 semesters. That's it. So I was like, what do I have to do? And they said there's a second degree program. And I said, you know what? Let's try this out. So there weren't so many programs that were still accepting applications because a lot of the application deadlines were November 1st. Which is like the same as college, but here I am knocking on a new year, and a lot of them still had deadlines that were January 15th or February 1st. And I said, you know what? I'm going to submit these here transcripts. I'm going to submit these personal statements, and I'm just going to try. And if this is what God wants me to do, I'm going to do it.
You going to do it.
And here we go. Years later, I got accepted into every program I applied for.
Yes. Won't he do it?
Yes, they did.
Do it.
And can I tell y'all something?
Tell us.
I got a C in biology 101 and 102.
Boom.
A C. It was not a B. It was not an A. I got a whole entire C because I'll tell you what Ashley was doing her freshman year. Ashley was turning up. I went to Howard University in Washington, D.C., okay? There was a party every night that I went to college, my entire college career.
Wow.
I was turned up my entire freshman year.
And that's what I love, though. See, that's so real. So real. Come on. You didn't miss
that is real.
You didn't miss a beat.
I want to tell y'all that because people feel like you have to be head in the books all the time and whatever. And some people do have to be. But I was like, I live my life. I was like, I'm going to live my life, and whatever life offers me after me living it, that's what I have to offer.
Thank you.
And I had a C, and I was like, nobody's going to let me into their program with a C. They accepted me, and my mother said to me, she was like, actually, you do not say good, you don't say bye, or you don't say no to Johns Hopkins University. And I was like, you know what, Mom, you're right. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. But they're offering me loans. They're offering me grants. And I will say, you know what? We're going to figure it out right now. And then once we get time to the point of paying it back, we're going to figure out how we're going to pay it back because we ain't paying that money.
Okay, one step at a time. One step at a time, right?
One step at a time. One step at a time. And I was like, you know what? If we do have to pay it back, we're going to figure out the best way for us to pay it back.
Yes.
But I will never forget, I was sitting in the airport waiting for Hopkins to tell me, I was actually heading to another school. I was heading to the University of Miami to give them my enrollment deposit because they had let me know first. Oh, and I was like, they said, you're accepted. And I was like, yes, Lord, I'm going to University of Miami. I'm here for it. And I thought I'm on a connecting flight from DC to Miami. I'm in Atlanta, and Atlanta calls me. While I'm in Atlanta, it's not me, it's Hopkins calls me while I'm in Atlanta. And they're like, you're accepted. And I was like, holy shit. Johns Hopkins University, like the mecca of
right?
There are procedures that are named after people that worked at Hopkins.
I'm still turned up on how you got a phone call, like not a letter, not an email. You got an actual phone call, girl.
No, a phone call. Girl, they left me a voicemail. Can I tell you who was annoyed, Ashley? I said, who leaves a voicemail in 2013? Don't leave me a voicemail. I was real irritated. I was like, who leaves a voicemail? This is retarded. Don't
do that. Now I gotta actually listen to it and listen to the thing tell me the number that called.
Right. I was like,
millennial problems. These are problems millennials have, right?
Yes. I was like, and then back at that point, they didn't have the visual voicemail where you could read what the voicemail say because you don't got time for that. You have to actually listen to it.
We were struggling. Like, the struggle was hard back in the day.
Yes, we had to actually listen to that voicemail. And I said, what do y'all want? And they said, Ashley Sales, I just want to let you know that you are accepted to the accelerated GSN program at the Johns Hopkins University School of Nursing. And I said, y'all called the wrong number? I was like, y'all called the wrong number. Y'all better try it again.
Oh, my God.
So, girl, they let me in. And I was like, you know what? My mom and I, we said, we're just going to figure it out.
Wow.
And that's what we did. And I got to Johns Hopkins, and I went through my first semester, and I lost my dad in the middle of my first semester. He passed.
Wow.
And it was very unexpected, and my mother and I didn't know what we were going to do.
Wow. But
we figured it out, and they were so supportive. And then I got through the rest of it. And I will say an accelerated nursing program, accelerated second degree program is not easy. But I made it through with a supportive community of nurses that were here and understood that they wanted us to make it.
Wow.
And we made it through. I took my NCLEX. I will never forget. I took my NCLEX with the flu, influenza A. I will never forget. That swab, the respiratory viral panel, that swab, that was the worst thing I ever had to endure. And I do that to people every day. And I was like, is that what I do to people? Like, that hurts. I got this swab. And I was like, what is wrong with me? They're like, you have the flu. And I was like, no, I can't have the flu. I take my NCLEX in 2 days. Like,
I don't have time for it. Possibly. So is there a way to schedule it after my exam? Because I can't I cannot do
I
it
was
right
like, please, diagnose me with the flu after. I can't have the flu right now. They said, no, man, you have the flu. You might have to reschedule. I said, there's no rescheduling this test because I actually need money today, okay?
Thank you. My life is still going, and those loans are not playing, okay?
They were not weighing. They didn't care about what flu I had. They didn't care about any of that.
They did not.
And I said, what's that Tamiflu y'all got? I'm going to take that. And I'm going to see what's happening on this test in 2 days. So I went to that test. I was sniffling. I told them, I was like, look, I'm going to need this tissue right here. There's no answers on it, I promise. I'm going to have to take this tissue, though, so I'm taking this test today.
There's no answers on the tissue.
And I passed that test on 75 questions.
Ooh,
75 with the flu.
With influenza A.
Look at God working. Influenza A, not B, not C. Sitting here dying. I was febrile, everything.
Wow. Ashley, wow.
Yes.
Okay. You know what? You just told us.
Yes.
You've told us so much in this short second. I need to table back real quick because I'm just like, whoa.
Just in the nap.
Oh, okay. So I want you to take me back. Take me back.
It wasn't the plan. It wasn't the plan. But it ended up being the goal, and I didn't even know it.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my goodness, like I had no idea that this is what I was supposed to do. But this is exactly what I was supposed to do. And I say to this day, like, even with me having the flu, taking that test, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. And when something's supposed to happen for you, any obstacle that could possibly come in your way, there will be a path for you to find your way out of it.
Thank you.
And I truly believe that.
I believe, girl, we are living testimonies of that because your story on its own is remarkable. Like you went through life while discovering your path to nursing. So I actually want to table back a little bit. I want to table back a little bit to when you actually got into your second degree, which was nursing. And you were saying that your nursing school really gave you the support you need to get to where you are. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I really want you just to kind of give me that overview of what it was like to be in the accelerated program and still be dealing with life. Like, tell me about that support. Was it the professors that were supporting you? Was it the nurses in the hospital that you were doing your orientation? I mean, not your orientation, but your clinicals at? Like, what aspect was really that support that you talk about in the accelerated program?
So I will say, I'm not one of those people that likes to talk about their life very much, like my personal life. I very much so separate that from like my professional or like clinical aspect of life. Like I'll say, like this is me here and this is me there. I don't like to mix them.
Oh, I know.
But when it came to something like like my dad, I was like, those are things where it's like there's no way that I can try to separate the two. Like there's no way that me losing my dad is going to not impact my academic performance. So I said I was just like, like I always felt supported. Like it was a very small class. They made sure that every student had an academic advisor who was very attentive to their needs. They had a career specialist that was attentive to their needs. And the professors there were very invested in making sure that their students did well. And my dad passed, I sent a very, very vague email. And I said, my dad passed. My family and I are doing well. My dad passed. He passed on Thanksgiving, which is a Thursday, right? And we were off that week for Thanksgiving break. And I was like, oh, I'll be back on Monday because we had health assessment sign off. So we had to sign off on our assessment skills that week. And that had been in the curriculum since we started. And I was like, I know you guys are very supportive, and I know that you guys will make accommodations for me to take this next semester or whatever the case is, but I didn't want to set myself back. I was like, I want to be on the same schedule that I've been on.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent that email to them and I said, look, like, if I don't do well, I want y'all to let me know and say, hey, Ashley, I don't think this is the best you could have done given your situation. But I wanted to let them know that, like, look, I'm going to give it my all. I'm not going to give it 50%. I'm not going to give it 75%. I'm going to give it 100% of what I would have given as far as I'm concerned. And if you tell me that what I've given you is not enough, then you give me the opportunity to turn that around and try it again, given what I went through with my family.
Yeah.
However, if I do well, I want to move forward because that's what my dad would have wanted. And I said that to them, and they said, you know what, Ashley, if this is what you want, like, we want you to be able to have enough time to move forward, or, you know, to deal with what happened to you. But if you want to just keep going, we are here for you. They gave me the option. And that's what I liked about Hopkins. They allowed that for me. They said, we will give you the option to do what everyone else is doing who's not going through the same thing as you. But in the event that you don't do well, and we're going to attribute it to what you're going through, we're going to give you the opportunity to do it again. And try it again.
Wow.
They were very understanding of what I was going through. As I said, it was a very small class. So anybody who's going through anything, and I wasn't the only person that was going through anything. We had students whose parents who had terminal cancer, students who realized they were pregnant, who went through a lot of, anything that would impact you trying to get to this degree during a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
that's very rigorous.
It's literally called life. They were going through life, and they understood that.
And life happens. There are people who are married, it's like, if a baby pops up, it's like, damn, here comes my third child. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I didn't even know, but here it is.
Wow.
And they were very flexible to understand that this is not like undergrad where it's like, oh, my mom isn't sending me money this week. It's like, no, life is happening. And they were very understanding in that. And they said, Ashley, I'm going to give you an opportunity to try, but this is the contingency plan if that doesn't work. And I was like, you know what? I hear your contingency plan, and I like that. So that's one thing I will say is, if you're looking for a school that, like, understand, like, if you don't know, of course no one knows what life is going to throw to us. But, like, if you have a family where, like, your kid could get sick, God forbid, or whatever the case is, and you need to be able to have that flexibility, don't be afraid to ask your prospective program, like, what is the contingency plan if I can't finish this in this semester, or, like, whatever the case is, because it was very important for me to know that there was a plan if I couldn't do it. And I think that made me feel more comfortable in, like, trying it, knowing that, like, there was a backup plan. You know what I mean?
And I'm glad that you're actually talking about this, going to a school that does have a plan to recognize that life happens, because a lot of these nursing schools will make you feel like, it is an honor and privilege to have gotten in, and no matter what happens, you need to figure out a way to do your, it's just almost like they make you feel like you have to be invincible to whatever life throws at you while they're also beating you up in the program. So it's like, okay, that's really not real. I mean, I even had a friend at the time who lost her father during our nursing program and left to go to the funeral, and they had an exam, and she didn't do well on the exam, but even though she didn't do well, the professors gave everyone else in the class a curve, and she took her exam after she came back from her father's funeral, and she didn't do well, nor did she get a curve. And what was told to her was, well, you got extra days to study. I'm sorry, I don't think I would be studying during the time of my father's funeral. So that already lets me know. That is just the mindset that is like, wow, it's almost like you dehumanize someone when they're in a program and makes them feel like, I'm not human anymore. I have to withstand whatever you give at me and whatever life takes at me to still prove that I should be a nurse. I don't think I have to die and sacrifice myself to prove to you that I want to care for other people. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I feel like in order for you to be able to care for someone else, you have to be able to understand that you have to care for yourself as well.
Exactly. Period. Point blank. That's amazing. So I want to table back a little bit. And so now that we've heard your process where you were actually going to med school, and then in your last semester you decided to go and do a second degree in nursing, and you got into Johns Hopkins and you graduated, and I know you feel liberated now. So what role did you go into when you graduated? Did you go straight to the bedside? Did you end up doing something else in nursing away from the hospital? Tell me what your first year and your beginning of your nursing career looked like.
So my first year as a nurse, or my first few years up until now, I would say, I spent my time as a bedside nurse in the Pediatric ICU, which was also another thing that I never felt like I would do. I knew I wanted pediatrics. That was something I always knew. Even when I wanted to be a physician, I said I want to be a pediatrician. If I was like, there were points where I wanted to be a dentist. I wanted to be a teacher. Like, everything was always about kids. Like, for some reason, I felt like I always knew I wanted to work with children. When I did that, there were positions open in the Children's Hospital at Johns Hopkins that I applied to, and I applied to every last one of them. Like there were NICU, there were Pediatric ICU, there was Hopkins is divided up by age groups. So they had infant and toddler unit, they had a school age unit, they had a adolescent unit, they had a hematology oncology unit, psychiatry unit, all these units for you to try, and I applied to every last one of them. Because I knew pediatrics was where I wanted to be. I did not want to work with adults. I didn't like any last one of my adult clinicals. I knew that's what I wanted.
And you gonna go for it.
It just turned out. So yes, I knew it. I knew what I wanted. There was one class that we had to take during our last semester, which was called a seminar, where you get to pick what specialty you wanted. There was emergency, there was psychiatric, there was labor and delivery, or obstetrics. There was a lot of different things you could do, and I picked the critical care pediatric patients. And my teacher for that class was the clinical nurse specialist in the pediatric ICU. And I told her, I was like, I just went up to her after class one day, very randomly. It wasn't like, a meeting or anything. I went up to her after class and I said, look, I'm looking for jobs in pediatrics. And I was like, do you have any suggestions for what I can do to, get my, I don't know.
Get your foot in the door, really. Hook me up. What should I do?
Increase my chances. Like, right. What can I do? What can I put on my resume? What can I do to help me stand out? And I laughed to you not. She said to me, email Claire. And she gave me Claire's email. Claire was the nurse manager at the time of the Pediatric ICU at Johns Hopkins. She told me to email her with your resume and say that you're interested in a job. I was like, I don't know if I want to work in the PICU, though. And she said, email her anyway.
What?
And I was like, okay.
So we bypassed HR in the whole. She said, go straight for it. Wow.
Straight to the manager.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know. So when you apply to a job at a hospital, especially a major academic hospital like somewhere like Johns Hopkins, they're getting thousands of applications. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And sometimes they'll have like filters to filter applications out. Like if you say one word in your application, it's automatically thrown in a trash bin. You know what I mean?
And people
so to have somebody who's looking for your application, somebody who's looking for your application, your name, and to pull it out of that pile and say, I want this person. And it's not even, usually before it even gets a nurse manager, it goes to a nurse recruitment office who filters things out and then sends that to the nurse manager.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know. So to have your resume automatically sent to a manager without it going through that filter process is amazing.
That's all.
So I sent a resume and a cover letter to her. And I said, I'm very interested in pediatrics, and I've always been. This is what I want, and what can I do to hasten my chances to be in pediatrics? Even in my email, I never specified pediatric ICU. I never specified that to her. I just said pediatrics. And she said, let's set up a share day. She emailed me within 24 hours.
Stop.
And I was like, I can't believe this.
I would have
And
fell
at
out.
this point, while I was in nursing school, other people had already got job offers from the NICU and from the emergency room and here and there. And I was getting discouraged myself, you know, it's just like, I'm not getting any offers and nobody's saying anything to me and whatever the case is, like I'm getting these applications and you're sitting there, like no one's saying anything to me. And it was like, that was a confidence boost I need, I felt like. And one thing I will say is don't ever, and this is to anybody who's listening to this, don't ever sleep on your professors. Don't sleep on the people who are teaching you because they know people who know people who know people.
Who know
and
people.
Whatever
Girl.
you want to get into, they know exactly the person you need to talk to get into that. And it just took me just swallowing my pride one day and going up to my professor and saying, I need help.
Wow.
For her to be like, you're a strong student in my class. I will help you.
See, don't sleep on them.
And she literally gave me the key to my entire career as a nurse.
Your networking literally starts while you're in nursing school. I kid you not. I think we don't even emphasize that or not. It starts in nursing school and it starts with your professors. That is really, get through to get
your
through.
Professor. Yes. And I'm talking down to your clinical instructors, your lab professors. These people know people who know people who know more people. Like, they will take care of it. I will never forget my health assessment instructor is the person who wrote my recommendation for me to get into NP school, which we'll get into later.
Ooh.
But it was my first semester health assessment instructor that said, you have something. I told her, I was like, I'm thinking about going to NP school. What do you think? And she said, I will write your recommendation letter for you.
That's awesome.
And that was my first semester instructor. And it's like, all you need to do is let these people know what your plans are. And they will help mold you into the person you need to be to do well in the things you want to be.
So how was your first year at the bedside, going into PICU? Like, was that a wonderful experience? Was it a scary experience? Did you get the support you need? Did you have mentorship? Like, how was your first year in a nice little 2-minute paragraph? Go ahead and tell me.
My ICU was all of the things you just described. It was nice. It was horrible. It was exciting. It was scary. It was horrendous. It was wonderful. I will say, Johns Hopkins, and I would say a lot of other magnet institutions, and that's something you should look into when you start looking at places you want to work. A lot of magnet places have nurse, what do they call it? Residencies, where you are in a kind of like a secondary nursing school to learn exactly what you need to learn in order to work on this particular unit and do well. And that was a unit. That's what Hopkins has to offer. For 16 weeks, I worked one-on-one with a nurse preceptor, and they taught me exactly how to do well on the unit that I worked on. So in the pediatric ICU, they taught me about arterial lines. They taught me about congenital heart defects. They taught me about lung defects. They taught me about premature children. They taught me about, developmentally delayed children and what that meant for me taking care of these kids, because that was a patient population I would deal with. And I felt that was beyond valuable. And they spent more than enough time on that. They spent a whole entire nurse's salary for 16 weeks to make sure that I knew what I was doing on that unit.
Wow.
I will say, as a Black nurse there were some things where I felt like other nurses that weren't the same skin tone as me got a little advantage of. They were given more opportunities than I was. I felt like personally, even when I was more qualified for those opportunities than they were. I felt like I was kind of stepped over for things when other nurses were given those opportunities, which wasn't a good feeling. It wasn't. And it makes you think about, what am I doing incorrectly? Yeah. That's causing me to have these repercussions when you're not doing anything incorrectly. It's just because of whatever leadership is assigned to you is ignorant of what a Black girl or Black man can do. It took me a while to realize that it wasn't me, it was them.
Yeah.
And once you there, it takes a while. It takes a while. And I wish I had like the magic answer to say, once you see this, you can move on and know that it's racism. It's not that way.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are things that you can do better as a nurse, you know, that it's hard for you to pinpoint and say, no, this is it, you know?
Yeah.
But there are times when it's like, after you realize that, like, no, I've done X, Y, and Z. I've done A, B, and C. I have 3 more degrees than you. I've done evidence-based projects. I've been on this and such committee. I've sat on this and much, you know, whoever's advisory board, and I'm still not getting there. Then you're just like, the only thing is that I'm Black. That's the only thing I can say.
Yeah.
And it took me 3 years to get to the point where I was like, not only do I realize it, but I realize I'm better than this, and I don't have to sit here in this.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I'll say about an academic institution. Sometimes there are people that are very stuck in their ways, especially in Trump's administration, where they feel like they're validated in their ways, that they don't have to, you know, be fair in their methods of evaluating people. And that's when you have to realize when it's time to go.
And I like how you say
your career elsewhere.
And I want to actually add on to that. It's not even just the magnet institution. It is any hospital that you are working at. Anywhere that you are working at that makes you feel like you have to second guess yourself because of your skin color and not because of the what you're producing. Like, you know, you're doing great.
Yeah.
You're getting great feedback, but you have particular people that are in your way because of their own personal agenda. Then go ahead and collect yourself. Pick up your shoes, put on your scrubs, put on your wig, go ahead and remove yourself. Like, it's not for you. Like, carry on.
Yes.
Like, it's true. It's no point in going through that. Because I trust me, being an African-American woman has gone through the same thing too. And it's not just if you're African-American.
We've gone through it.
I've seen people who are international students who have gone through it, where people, you know, even those that have language barriers, you know.
You hear an accent and you're automatically like, you don't know anything.
Huh? What? Yeah. They're dumb. No. Any kind of discrimination, not just racially, but even culturally. Anytime anyone wants to discriminate you because they feel like you're not to their expertise or whatever whatever it could be, go ahead and remove yourself. It's not even worth it. So I'm really glad that you highlighted that because it's true.
It's true.
Very true. And a lot of people don't talk about it. So you go ahead and bring that up. So
we don't, and it's hard. You don't want to be that person a lot of times where you're saying you don't want to blame everything on being Black or being a minority or being international or being anything. You don't want to blame it on that. And you will do anything. I don't know if anybody's like me, but I would do anything to be like, no, maybe it's because I'm doing this, or maybe it's because I'm doing that. And it's like when you literally exhausted every option other than changing the color of your skin. And you realize nothing is changing it.
Nothing.
You have to be like, well, damn it, it has to be because I'm Black.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes, and I will say, honestly, people don't stop. And look, I'm going to say it today on this podcast. People don't like to see Black people succeed. They don't like it. It's not what's supposed to happen. They don't, especially older people who are very stuck in their ways. Yes. They don't like to see Black people get ahead of them. They don't feel like Black people should have masters over them when they're just a diploma or an associate degree nurse. They're just like, whoa, who let you win by affirmative action or whatever the case is. Ooh, meanwhile, you worked hard as I don't know what to get through that.
Speak it, girl.
They don't like to see it.
And that's the truth.
They don't like to see it. And they will do anything to try to discredit what happened, what you went through.
It's true.
And how hard you worked and how many tears you cried to get through what you went through. And don't ever let anybody put what you went through down for that because of their insecurities. Like, you are worth it. And you are oftentimes better than them.
As long as you recognize
they don't want to accept it.
Recognize who you are. You recognize it. If you don't recognize who you are.
Yes, and what you have to offer.
Yes, girl. Woo! Too much truth is being spilled right now. So I want to go ahead and hop in to Because it's getting real good. How long were you at the bedside as a pediatric ICU nurse before you decided to go back to school and pursue being a clinical instructor? What made you want to leave the bedside, or was it more of just a desire to teach? Like, tell me more about that.
What's so funny about that? So let's start with me starting as a nurse at the bedside. I was in a unique situation where I was already enrolled in a nurse practitioner program while I was in the Bachelor of Nursing program, the BSN.
What?
So my school offered a BSN to MSN bridge program.
Oh.
So you had to do like an interview process and things like that. But they said, if you get your BSN from our school, we will automatically kind of funnel you into this nurse practitioner program without having to take the GREs, without having to do, a lot of extra stuff.
Wow.
And I was in one of those programs. I took I said, this is what I feel like I can do as a nurse practitioner. They had a very short interview where they were like, what do you feel like you can accomplish as a nurse practitioner? And my thing has always been asthma in kids because that's what I had personally.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt like, I want to figure out how to manage asthma in inner city kids because it's a huge issue. I want to figure this out. And I feel like as a pediatric nurse practitioner, I can take my expertise and channel that into a community that's not being tapped into. And I said that as an interviewee, and they let me into this program. So I was actually in a nurse practitioner program before I started working as a nurse. Would I recommend this? No. I feel, and I 1,000% feel as if you don't know what you don't know until you're in the field and realize how much you don't know. When you're in nursing school, they give you this false confidence, I say, and people may disagree with me, but I feel like there's this confidence that you know exactly what you need to know to succeed as a nurse, which you probably do. Mm-hmm. You know the basics to not kill somebody, which is what you need to know to be a novice nurse. However, I didn't know how much I didn't know as far as like the little subtle signs to see someone's skin color changing a little bit throughout a shift to know that you're going cyanotic without you being completely blue. Or to know that you're going to arrest in the next 36 hours without you doing anything on an EKG. Wow. Like I can see your skin color changing, your cap refills a little more sluggish. You're just a little more lethargic than you were before. And I feel like things like that, you have to pick up at the bedside and see the change before your eyes.
Because you won't see it on a mannequin.
You won't. And there are plenty of people who do very well without ever working at the bedside to become a provider. As in every last physician who is an MD, they do their fellowship, they do their residency, they do whatever the case is, and never spend time as a nurse at the bedside. But I feel like what makes nurse practitioners useful is that we have seen it happen before our eyes. And I will say, I don't know, and there are times when you can't even verbalize what's wrong with the kid. You or the person. You will say, I don't know what's wrong here, but I don't like it. And I feel like we need imaging. We need tests. We need something. I want to see this kid's belly on an X-ray because I feel like this kid's not perfusing his gut. I feel like something's not going right here. Let's get a stat echo because this kid's heart is failing and I feel it. I don't know why. I may not be able to explain the pathophysiology behind why I feel this way, but it doesn't hurt to get that test. And I feel like we should get it.
And as an MP, you were able to do that. And
I feel like that, yes. And as a nurse, I felt like I was able to differentiate between mom is just worried, she needs to put a Band-Aid on this and go relax and get some sleep, versus I think we need to get some testing and figure out what's going on with this baby. And if nothing's wrong with the baby, at least we tried it, we figured out nothing's wrong, and we can go on to our next differential diagnosis. But I felt like I needed to work as a bedside nurse in order to be able to realize how much I didn't learn in nursing school, because you will not be able to learn it all. So I worked as a nurse, and I ended up starting my NP program before I started working as a nurse, which is interesting. My nursing job started in May of 2015. However, my NP program started in January of that year. And I had the opportunity to defer for a year and like kind of get some experience and then join the program. But my school decided that they wanted all their NP programs to go to a doctoral program.
Oh.
And if I wanted to stay in a master's program, I had to start because they were phasing the program out.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, I'm not interested in a DNP program. I am not interested in doing a research project right now. I'm not interested in any of that. I was like, I will start this master's program, but I will do it at my pace.
Mm-hmm.
As long as y'all allow it, until I feel like I'm ready to be done with this program. So I did the Master's Pediatric Nurse Practitioner program at Hopkins for 3 years. That's really a 1.5-year program, but I dragged that joint out. I dragged it. I was
While
like, I am
you were
not
working as a
ready.
nurse,
because
right?
every day I spent in the PICU,
I said that was also while you were working as a nurse. So technically during your 3 years, you were also
as a nurse,
3 years
yes.
as a nurse. Okay.
So I did. So what I did was, for my first year while I was working as a bedside nurse, I took online courses that were more of the core classes. So things like research and context of healthcare and the role of a nurse practitioner and things like that. I took more of the fluff core classes while I was learning how to be a real PICU nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Things that I didn't feel like was like really take too much time away from me learning how to do what I need to do at the bedside. I did those at the same time. And once I moved more into the core curriculum of being a nurse practitioner, I stepped away from the bedside. So I dropped from full-time to a little bit below full-time and then part-time in the PICU while I was ramping up hours in my nurse practitioner program. So with me doing that, I realized that nurse practitioner program isn't really giving me too much money. And with me, being a whole entire adult and having to pay bills, I needed money.
A whole adult.
So I remember there were students in my program that were like, I teach pediatric clinical to, kind of give myself a little extra income without it being as demanding as working at the bedside as a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what is this about? I remember having pediatric clinical, but what does it take in order for you to really, be a clinical instructor? And my school happens to be really in a shortage of clinical instructors. And like anyone who was enrolled in a master's program or had a master's degree at the time was eligible to teach clinical for the school.
Oh.
So I lied to you not. I asked somebody and I said, who did you talk to about becoming a clinical instructor? And they gave me the email. And I emailed her and I said, I'm interested. I can offer you 1 day a week to teach clinicals. And I told them, I was like, I had a clinical on this unit. I went to this school, so I know what these students are going through. And I feel like I can be a really good asset to teaching these students how to get through pediatric clinical.
Wow. And that's only
I would say within a month.
Go ahead.
I had about 2 years experience at that time.
You snatched that question out of my mouth. I was just about to ask you that. Girl, come on. You won't be.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Just 2 years of being
I had 2 years experience as a nurse.
Wow. So
yes.
How was it? How was it when you got the opportunity to be a pediatric clinical educator and you were still in your
Oh my goodness. Program. So one thing I will say, yes, and I was still in my NP program. So when I started teaching, I was in my last semester of my NP program. And the one thing I made it very clear to my students, I said, I don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know everything, but I know how to tell you not to injure someone's child and not to be a detriment to someone's child. And I said that to them. I was like, you will not kill a baby on my watch.
I know that's right.
And if you don't know and I don't know, we're going to figure it out together. We're going to use our resources that are available to us, and we're going to figure it out, because I will not know the answer to every question you have for me. But I will tell you that you will not kill somebody's baby on my watch. They valued the fact that I was so close to nursing school that I understood what they were going through.
That is
like, I understood I was not going to waste their time. I wasn't going to do a 4-hour-long post-conference that was, like, completely useless to them. I was like, if you have a test coming up tomorrow, I'm going to let you out an hour early so you can go study for this test that actually means something, versus me sitting here and telling you about something that's going in one ear and out the other. I'm not going to waste your time, because I remember sitting in these very same post-conferences and moving forward and just like thinking about, oh my God, I have to walk my dog. I have to do this. I have to do that. I wasn't thinking about it.
You were ready to go. Like,
you know, I was like, I need to wash my car. I needed an oil change for 3 weeks. I'm not thinking about that.
So did you have any challenges?
You know, at the end of the day, if I feel like,
I said, did you have any challenges as a clinical educator? Like, was there anything that you currently or previously
there's
faced?
Plenty. There are definitely. So it's like, it's all about you. Every student has a different personality, which is a lot. I would say I was so fortunate with my first group that I ever had. And I say God was working, because my first group was the most like synergistic, like here to learn, and anything that I had to offer, they felt like it was gold to them. And we had a great opportunity to just like take advantage of everything that was available in that unit while we were there. And that group gave me the opportunity, like just the confidence to be like, you know what you're talking about. You know, like you, as much as you feel like you don't know, these students know so much less than you.
Wow. So it was like they were helping you out.
You have a wealth of knowledge. Yes. It gave me confidence to be like, you actually do know a lot. And then they're asking you little questions and you're just like, oh my God, like I know the answer to this without having to look it up. Like I know the answer to this, and it's an evidence-based answer.
Boom.
And it was amazing. I love being a clinical instructor. And I think it's so much more useful for someone who's not that far removed from nursing school to be a clinical instructor, because you remember what it means to be in nursing school.
I wish I had you as my clinical instructor. Girl,
I say that all the time. I was like, I wish I had myself. Because it's so funny, because also my school does like reviews and like evaluations of the clinical instructors, and everyone says like Ashley has been like one of the best clinical instructors I've ever had. And that's not because I know everything, because I always thought, I'm like, I don't know what that is. Let's Google it. Let's see what's
Oh yes.
I was like, let's go up to date. We don't know. I don't know. I was like, I don't know what that is.
What is that? I don't know. Let's look it up.
I will tell you. Right. And I'm going to show you where to look things up that's valuable, that is evidence-based, that's a primary source. I'm not going to tell you to look it up on Wikipedia. We're going to find the best places to find information. And like even that, I feel like it's something to teach somebody. You know what I mean? It's just like, you're not always going to know the answer. But sometimes, as long as you know where to find the right answer, I feel like you've already done half the work.
Exactly. Know your resources. That's it. Not everybody knows everything. Just know your resources. Is there more to just teaching them? Like, do you also have to do other things as a clinical instructor, which is like maybe research projects or grading paper or creating exams? Like, what else do you have to do?
We grade papers. So so the clinical or the course coordinators come up with the assignments that they have to do. So they have like something like a plan of care, or like a oh God, what do you call those? like they have a concept map that they have to do, which is pretty much a plan of care.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like they have little assignments that they have to do throughout the semester that we're responsible for grading for. And I let them know exactly what I'm expecting of them. Like they have rubrics, but I'll say, look, this is what I'm looking for. They have those silly, and God, anybody who's written a textbook, I'm so sorry, but those nursing diagnoses that they make you go over in nursing school, Lord, give me strength. Because
annoying
and useless. Because I want you to go to anybody and tell them what your nursing diagnosis is and see if they would ever listen to you and know what you're talking about. Nursing school is a figment. I mean, nursing diagnoses are a figment of nursing school's imagination. Yeah. There's no such thing. Yeah. No one listens to that. No one knows what that is. They don't know anything. Like, even when I went to NP school, what I was so annoyed with was trying to remember all the nursing diagnoses when ICD-10 diagnoses was what really mattered when it came to coding and billing. I was so irritated. Wow. I was like, nobody knows what nursing diagnosis is. What is that? Why do y'all make me go over this so much when this is not even a real thing?
And we don't
I will never hear this word again after nursing school.
We don't even use
it. Drove me crazy.
That's so annoying.
No one knows that.
Yeah.
And it's the worst. And they make you buy a whole textbook on it and do all these plan of cares based on it. And it's not real.
But you still have to teach that.
And it drove me crazy. And I said, I do. And I told them, I was like, look, this is a good nursing diagnosis. Make sure it's in the paper. But I'll tell you right now, in real life, this isn't real.
So are you more, because it seems like now you found your passion. Your passion is like being a nurse, clinical educator for pediatrics. And it seems like this is what your heart desires. So have you completed your MP program? And is this what you do full time now? Or what is it that you're still trying to pursue?
I'm still all over the place because I'm a mess if y'all haven't learned yet. So I finished my NP program in December.
Congratulations.
Of 2017.
Thank
you so much. I finally finished. And I'm working on my boards. I'm actually taking my test next week. Lord have mercy, give me strength. And everybody played for me.
You will be fine. You will be influenza A free on this one.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I won't. Look, let me tell you, I'm keeping all that bad juju away from me. But what I will say is I do love teaching. Just because I want to be that instructor that I'm approachable and I'm real. Like you will not be stressed out because of what I'm telling you.
See, I love that because this is the new era that we're bringing in. We're bringing in some new millennials and fresh ideas and fresh people who understand what it's like to be in our role and not make it seem like you should feel like you are privileged to even be in nursing school, rather than someone who understands and went through it and is like, I'm here for you. I want you to succeed. It's not a competition because at the end of the day, we're trying to help and take care of people. I don't care if you got an A, B, or C, as long as you know what you're doing and you're not going to cause harm. The only thing we want to do is make sure you're already sick or ill or whatever. You're already needing me as a nurse because of that. I don't want to make your life worse because I didn't know or I was scared to ask a question because I thought it was going to be dumb. What advice would you give someone who is interested in becoming an educator? Because from what I'm hearing, and usually a lot of people I've had on my show, it's always about like, hey, you want to be a nurse, but you want to be a nurse in this field. How can you do it? So now knowing that in order to be a nurse educator, you have to go back to school and get your master's degree. What advice would you give someone who's interested in becoming an educator and doing what you're doing now to help impact nursing students?
So I would say not every school is like mine that I work for. I know Hopkins it's among one of the top institutions, so always like trying to be the trailblazer and things. And a lot of, so their master's program, the only way to become a nurse at Hopkins is to come with a previous bachelor's degree and enter their master's entry into nursing program. Mm-hmm. But not every school is that way. Some schools have bachelor's programs. There's still associate degree programs. There's still things out there for you to become a nurse and find your way into nursing without you having that.
Exactly.
Background. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hopkins, or with someone who's already a nurse but may not have a master's degree or may not have or even a bachelor's, you can find nursing schools who still offer those lower degrees. So I will say that nurses, a lot of nursing schools are looking for nurses to work as clinical instructors because there's really big turnaround, just like nursing in general. It's like sometimes people are willing to do it for a couple semesters but can't do it anymore. I know even Hopkins is now the #1 institution to go to nursing school, and they're struggling to find clinical instructors to, teach these courses.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you don't have to be master's prepared. You can be bachelor's prepared, or even lower than that. But if you have experience in something valuable to offer, they will hire you.
Wait,
and you just take on a group of students.
Pause. So you don't even have to have a master's degree to be a clinical instructor?
You don't. So depending on the school, some schools still, if you have a bachelor's degree and the school that you're working for still offers a bachelor's degree, you can work there.
Wow.
So, but the biggest thing usually is making sure that the teacher has at least the degree that the students are working towards.
Wow, didn't know
that's
that.
Like one of their biggest criteria.
Girl,
yes,
I did not.
That's one of their biggest criteria. So with So with Hopkins, the reason why they're masters is because their program, the lowest program that they offer towards getting into nursing is a master's program. Like you have to come into their school with a previous bachelor's degree in another field in order. They don't even have their second degree bachelor's program anymore. The one that I was in, they don't offer that anymore. So with me, they were like, okay, you're in the master's program trying to become a nurse practitioner, which is why we're allowing you to do this. You have a master's degree, so you can do this. But they, that's because what they offer. But other schools aren't like that. In a regular 4-year degree program, you're going to leave out with a bachelor's. So as long as you have a BSN, you're more than likely able to teach in about 90% of the schools that are in the United States.
Wow, that's some good information. And I hope people who are listening to this episode hops on Google, our wonderful friend, and really start looking up for
hop on Google.
Hop on, girl, hop on. That is really some good tea because I had no idea. I didn't even know that. I always thought that you have to have a master's. And they don't even tell you that you can be in a master's program like you are now and even be teaching. So I didn't even know any of this that you're telling me. So I really appreciate that. Man, hold up.
Yeah. They always say, what do they say? Closed mouths don't get fed.
They do not get fed.
They always say that. And it's so true. They don't.
You won't. You just be sitting there hungry, just looking while everybody else eating because your mouth ain't open. Come on. Join me.
Let me tell you, and another thing I'm going to throw in there, the money as a clinical instructor, if you bedside and you're just like, look, I feel like I'm not making enough, you make like minimum at least $55. I make $65 an hour to sit down and watch people be a nurse while I'm watching them doing it.
Yes.
65. I make half of a nurse's pay salary, half in a week for 1 day of work.
Hold up.
One day.
Whoa. Wait, you're spilling some serious tea here. We're talking about our coins. You're making that much? Girl.
Then coin is very, girl, I come home with $800 and I'm making it very transparent. $800 after taxes for working 1 day a week, every 2 weeks. $800. And that is not what I come home with as a bedside nurse.
Wow.
Just to sit down and say, that ain't right. Just to tell them what I know already. I ain't doing anything extra.
Okay, so I just want everybody to know that me and Ashley.
But that's how valuable you are to these schools.
Me and Ashley would be starting an educational class, and we would love to have
Exactly.
Wow, that is good. Thank you for telling me that, girl, because I think that's also people.
Just in case you're wondering about the coin.
Well, because we hear that teachers struggle. So a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to be a teacher because I'm not going to be paid enough. And then I'm on top of a nurse. But you, girl, heck yes. That is some serious dollars we're talking about right there. That's a nice pair of shoes. That's a coin.
Okay.
That's
the girl, ain't it? And if there's something that Ashley loves, it's a bag and some shoes. Okay. Look.
Oh. Yes.
Look.
I love it.
I hope you've enjoyed today's conversation with Ashley. She has been dropping gems left and right. So I hope you're able to jot them down. And please, 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 if you know that you are inspired to teach, go out there and do it. You heard the salary is right. I know you got the right spirit. Definitely find out if there's a community college or a university where you qualify to teach. Like we said, Google it because it's your best friend at this point. And also really, really, really try to help impact the industry because apparently we need about 1 million nurses by 2022. So we got to do whatever we can do. Okay? Last but not least, you know TobiTalks loves to hear from you. So feel free to shoot us an email at TobiTalks@TobiTalks.com. Again, it's TobiTalks@TobiTalks.com. Check in on our new episode. That'll be hopping out in 2 weeks. We have a very, very, very special guest, and you'll get why I'm saying very when you hear our next episode. She is going to be shining the light on what it was to go from LVN to RN, and I know you want to hear about it. So until next time, I'll talk to you later.